Welcome to episode 68 of Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And today we'll be talking about one of the most interesting actors to ever live. A man with 2 nominations and 1 win. His name is Nicolas Cage. And of course, his win is for Leaving Las Vegas from 1995. The film was up for 4 Oscars altogether at the 68th Academy Awards. But Nicolas Cage is the one who walked away with the win. And when you hear the name Nicolas Cage, what do you think?
I think of just off the wall, unapologetic, wacko movies that kind of don't fit into any genre but Nicolas Cage movies.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for that. I mean, this guy's work speaks for itself at this point. We talked a bit about that, Caleb and I, when we did Pig a few weeks ago on Sneak Preview.
Yes.
It was just an opportunity to dig into this guy's insane career, his highs, his lows, his kind of Hollywood turning his back on him and then him turning his back on Hollywood, and this kind of career resurgence he's had in the past few years that has just given us some weird work, but also some incredible films I feel like we wouldn't have gotten without his involvement.
Yeah.
So I love the guy. I've always loved the guy. I think he's an awesome person, an awesome actor, a crazy motherfucker, and one of my favorite performers of all time.
Yeah, me too, man. I love Nicky Cage. I vividly remember watching films like the real wacko ones from like the 90s, like Con Air. I remember watching that like on TV, like on TNT as a kid, and just being like, what? This is absurd. This guy's approach to this craft is different than anybody else.
Yeah.
And even though there's been, there was a stretch there where he's like in Ghost Rider and Drive Angry and just all this just honestly straight up garbage. He had a legitimate lull where he thought, oh, that was it, it's over. To now, he has to be, as a genre lover, as someone who likes horror movies and things that are just a bit off the rails. He is the guy right now. With Mandy and Willy's Wonderland and Pig, like you mentioned. Tomorrow, you guys are gonna be talking about him. What's it called?
Prisoners of the Ghostland. Yeah.
Prisoners of the Ghostland. Like he's on a crazy tear right now that nobody can really even compare. You can't really compare another guy to him. and then for him to be an Oscar winner, it feels right to finally bring him up properly on one of our shows. We are going to give our top 5 Nicolas Cage performances, not necessarily movies, because that's different, but performances, characters that he's played. We both have lists here that we're very excited to share. But I do want to kind of talk about Leaving Las Vegas to open up here. I think we differ a bit on how much we appreciate it, and I'm a massive fan. This is my 3rd time being able to watch it, and I was just shattered, blown away, and the aesthetic of this movie just pleases me so much, and the content is so dark. I have a good time always when I watch this movie, because I love shit that just stirs me, that just makes me kind of think about people I love, think about my own life, think about just death in general as a subject. And I'm always down to do that when a piece of art puts me there.
Yeah, I get it. This is kind of a territory we haven't really approached on this show yet. This is I think as dark as we've gotten. This is a film entirely about a man fully intending to kill himself.
Yeah.
And never really wavering from that decision, and finding someone whose life is just as fractured and fucked up as his, who still has hope. And you expect that to rub off on him, and it never does. It's weird. It's an unapologetic suicide note of a movie. And you see that in what happened to the guy who wrote the book.
Yeah.
It's a downer. It's going to be hard to stay a little upbeat with this one. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, for sure. I think I think doing the top 5, Nicky Cage just will lighten it up a bit. But when you're talking about leaving Las Vegas, there's nowhere else to go but to like a pretty dark place. That author you were talking about, John O'Brien, wrote Leaving Las Vegas. It came out in 1990, and it's semi-autobiographical, which is wicked dark already to know that this is something that he kind of went through. And then the film was, obviously was filmed in 1994, comes out in 1995. In 1994, whenever John O'Brien gave the rights over and found out that it was going to be made into a full length, full feature length film, he killed himself 2 weeks after that. And, his dad said that the book was his suicide note, that he's surprised that it took that long, that it took 4 years for him to kill himself after the book coming out. And Nicky Cage does such an incredible job of portraying this just very, very lost soul. And he even, I was reading about like some of the research that he did. He read a lot about, binge drinkers and alcoholics, like career alcoholics. And he went to Ireland and drank for 2 weeks straight, basically, like Nicolas Cage did himself. And it shows in this movie. It really shows. The commitment is outstanding. And if you can't appreciate that, then I don't know why you watch movies. If you can't appreciate Cage getting after it like that. I mean, his eyes look like they're just totally sunken in. His hair is always the right amount of like greasy. When he's on his crazy tears, he's just fucking entertaining as hell. But then when he's not, he's just shaking like a little child. And I'm just blown away. And I think he totally deserved to win. It makes sense that this and Adaptation were the two performances that he was nominated for. I have my personal favorites. I love those two, but it makes sense. He's playing two different screenwriters in those two movies, and it could be a very interesting double feature. Just really tough when you're reading about how this movie got made and why it was made, and that Mike Figgis, the director of Leaving Las Vegas, also the composer of the music, and also is the one who adapted the book into a movie, kind of doing it all here. This book was very important to him and made a lot of sense to him. And you can just see it. It's a passion project.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm surprised Mike Figgis never really took off. I didn't recognize anything else from his filmography. This was his only Oscar nomination. Yeah. Screenplay and director. And Cage, when people kind of think of him now, there's kind of two leagues. There's the longtime fans and the people who think he's a joke.
And yeah, fuck those people. Yeah.
Fuck them so hard. I mean, yeah. I'm glad that I've watched this film, if only to finally understand what the phrase Academy Award winner Nicolas Cage really means. And now I can defend it with vigor and actually mean it. And that's a great feeling. But I can tell you right now, I will probably never watch this movie again. This is a sad fucking movie.
That's fair.
That I don't know if I want to go there again.
Yeah.
But I get that, you can see the passion and the dedication that Mike Figgis put into this. He wanted this to be something special, especially after John O'Brien died. He wanted this to be kind of an epitaph for him. Yeah. And I think he pulled that off.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree, man. Awesome stuff. We are definitely going to give awards out to that, to Leaving Las Vegas at the end of the show. But we're going to start with the top 5. Nicky Cage, I think that's the best place to start. Kind of give us a little bit of life here, and then we'll look at, after we do the top 5s, we'll look at the. There's not a tremendous amount of individuals within this movie that were nominated or have been nominated. Obviously Nicolas Cage, but these, Elizabeth Shue and Mike Figgis. This is it. This is their nomination, and there's not really any technical people that have had a history or a resume with the Oscars. So we're going to kind of skip that segment. So we'll go straight from the top 5 Cage to 68th Academy Awards, 1995 films. We'll check some of that stuff out, look at the 4 categories Leaving Las Vegas is in, and then we'll give our awards. So it's going to be a fun and fast show. I'm super excited. And if you've been here before, you know that we start this thing out going 5-1. So I'm going to let you go ahead and kick us off, Connor, with your number 5.
Well, as we stated at the beginning, this is not our top 5 favorite Nicolas Cage movies.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, this is our top 5 Nicolas Cage performances.
Correct.
And so I've seen 46 of this man's films. And
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm a fan, and I still have so much more to see.
Yeah, there's so many. Yeah.
Because we were doing Leaving Las Vegas, I wanted to, in the past few weeks, prioritize his more critically acclaimed work. So I have seen pretty much everything he's kind of known for, which is nice. But there's still a whole bunch of like crazy ass paycheck gigs from like 2010 to 2019 that I still would like to sit through. But my number 5 kicks us off with one of his most well-known action thrillers from the 90s, a film that he shares with another guy who I think gets a bad rap cinematically, Mr. John Travolta. And that is Castor Troy in Face Off.
Yes. Fuck yeah. I was hoping this would come up.
Yeah. Castor Troy. And of course, for the second half of the film, FBI agent Sean Archer. Cage plays both roles. And this is one of the first times we really see him play a full-blown villain. Castor Troy is a crazy piece of shit. A terrorist for hire who is knocked into a coma by Sean Archer, who then has to wear his face to find out where Castor Troy's brother Pollux hit a bomb in Los Angeles. But of course, shit gets fucked up. Castor wakes up, takes Sean Archer's face, and now the two are wearing each other's faces and living each other's lives. It's a crazy, over-the-top premise that would only work in 1997.
Yeah.
100%. I love seeing Cage be his craziest at the time and then his most subdued, playing both sides of the coin. And then Travolta also doing the same thing. And Face Off is such a badass John Woo action movie that still holds up and is just a crazy watch. And I wanted some 90s badass action Cage in my top 5. And this seemed the best place to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have any of that. There's stages of Cage, right? You know, there's the beginning stages where nobody knows who he is, and then whoa, it's actually really good. And then that 90s like critically acclaimed roles to 90s action star to early 2000s again kind of critically acclaimed stuff to just whoa, what is he doing? Nicolas Cage to now epic, awesome, gritty films in Nicolas Cage like that. He's got like 6 different eras within his own career. And I think Face Off does represent that action star Cage probably the best. I mean, just there's not a lot of movies that are more fun than Face Off because it's you're while you're watching, you're kind of thinking like, how did they do this? how do they conjure up this kind of magic? And I think it's the time. It's the air. It's what's going on. It's 1997. It's just not a movie that would be made now. And if it was, it would look a lot different.
Yes. Hell yeah. So where do you start on this?
This is going to be so much fun. I think from, like you know me pretty well. I think mine's going to be a bit predictable. All 5 movies are from filmmakers I also really like. And the first one directed by my man, Ridley Scott, it's from 2003, Matchstick Men, as Nicolas Cage plays Ray Waller. Matchstick Men, for those of you who haven't seen it, is Nicky Cage and Sam Rockwell, which is kind of all you need to know. You have, the con artist aspect of it is really cool, right? There's just kind of this paranoia within. And I think Cage is doing stuff that it has to be on my list because he's doing stuff in this movie that no one else can do. No one else can get away with and it like look fine. It's just Cage fucking around,
Yeah.
And he also this is the first time I saw this when I was maybe somewhere in high school for the first time, and I've just kind of fallen in love with it as time goes on. This is when I was like, oh, this guy looks like a movie star at times. He's got the full suit going on. He's got the sunglasses, you know. This is before I've seen some of the other films we're going to talk about today. It just kind of showed me a different side of him, because all I knew was Face Off and Con Air, you know,
yeah,
and that wild, wacky, long hair Cage. This one, there's some nuance to this movie, and it's from a book by Eric Garcia. The screenplay is written by Ted Griffin. I just think there's a tremendous amount of control within this movie, while also letting Cage and Rockwell just be fucking wackos. And I'll never forget. Again, the same way with a lot of these movies that I'm going to talk about. I'll never forget the first time I watched it and what it showed me about Cage.
That's a great pick, man. I was this close to putting Matchstick Men. This was hard for me.
It's difficult. It's when you look at all of those, you know, you're on Letterboxd or IMDb or whatever it is, you're just kind of like, holy shit. Like he's everywhere in my life.
Yeah. He's from 1984 to fucking 2 days ago. He has just been doing his own thing. You know, he doesn't give a fuck about being famous, about being, you know, quote unquote respected. He just wants to do things his own way. He wants to make the movies he wants to make. And I think the only people he really does, you know, care about their opinion are his fans. He really does value them. And he knows he's been to the bottom. He knows what it feels like. And he loves that he's kind of been given a chance at redemption.
Yeah.
And I see him in interviews and he's just giddy to talk about this stuff. He loves his fans. He loves being able to work. He loves making movies. He recently said he's never going to retire because he loves doing this.
Like, so good to hear.
How do you not love this guy? It's a fucking, you know, riches to rags story. I mean, he's Francis Ford Coppola's nephew. He was never like wanting for a career, but still.
Yeah. He's a part of that big family tree. Yeah. And he's going to be 60 years old soon. He was born in 1964. He's a January baby, just like us. You gotta love that. He's definitely someone that I take pride in, being a January child. I usually don't care about that shit, but when it comes to Cage, I do. I don't understand when the people, well, really, that's when I know that they don't know what they're talking about. If someone is talking to me about movies and they're just like, oh, Nick Cage sucks. Like, okay, I'm already going to disregard kind of everything you say from there on out. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's like saying Kobe Bryant is better than Michael Jordan. No, it's not happening. It's not true. You know, it's like now everything else you say just doesn't have any weight. Yeah. and Nicky Cage is one of those lines. There are people who are like lines.
Yeah.
And you gotta draw that shit in the sand. And with Cage, I stand firmly on the side that he's the fucking man.
Yeah. There's certain phrases that if you're gonna utter them in front of me, I'm not going to want to hang out with you anymore. And I don't like Nicolas Cage is one of those phrases.
100%. Don't you love how in Matchstick Men that he's just like this clean freak, you know, just scrubbing everything away. Everything's like perfect. I just love that. I love that shit.
The neuroses are the best part. Just the little shit. Yeah. Like when he's at the pharmacy trying to get his prescription refilled and he freaks the fuck out at that guy. And then apologizes to him.
Yeah. So good.
And of course, you know, the long con going on in the background. I love con movies. Just
me too.
They're always so layered. And Ridley Scott too is just such a great filmmaker. Yeah, Matchstick Men's a great movie. Great pick.
Yeah, I want to talk about this movie more. I want to do it somewhere else, you know, on Filmgazm or something, because it's just so awesome and such a genre bender. I love it. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is the movie that a lot of people credit, with Cage getting his most recent comeback. And it's a movie that breaks all sorts of rules, but still manages to work. And it's a movie, admittedly, knowing who I am, I should fucking hate. But it's one of the few movies that I have completely just bent the rules for because I don't care. And it is 2018's Mandy.
Fuck yeah.
Cage plays Red, this just guy who his girlfriend is captured and killed by these crazy hippie dudes, and he goes on a fucking bender taking them down. It's that simple. But there's a scene in this movie where Red is kind of coming to terms with what has just happened to him. And he's losing his fucking shit in a bathroom and just throwing shit and screaming and crying. And it is brilliant. And it's one of the most incredible bits of performance in Cage's entire career. And it's the bit that got him on my top 5 here. And Mandy, folks, if you haven't seen this movie, take a break, go watch it, come back here, because you deserve to check this out. It's one of the movies that is going to just kind of warp your reality for a bit, because it doesn't care. It's a perfect vehicle for Cage because he also does not care. Enough said. Mandy's one of those ones I'm really itching to do on Filmgazm, just so I can kind of unpack that shit. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It'll be a way of realizing all the things you really do love about it when you get to just open up your brain just to Mandy and give it that time. I totally agree, man. That one barely missed my top 5. That to me is, I haven't seen Pig. I've heard great things about Pig, but that to me is the best movie of this run that he's on, this recent run. It's just, you got to see it. It's a total mind fuck, and is so gorgeous. It's so dark, and the colors are so intoxicating. I love Mandy. That needs to be a Filmgazm episode, and it will be one day. I'm pretty sure it is on Shudder. If you all have that, that's the place to see it. So there you go. Yeah, I think you're correct about that. Because I mean, I'm due for a rewatch myself. Why not? You know, it's kind of one of those I should see again. But you got to give that one credit for going to certain lengths and gaining all these fans, either gaining them back or giving them that extra juice. Like, see, Cage is the man. He's had it in him the whole time. This is what he's meant to do. He's finally doing it in his late 50s. He's finally doing it. We've all had to take shit jobs for money. Why does he get shit for it? We've all had to work at fucking Dairy Queen or Wendy's or something because we had to deal with it. Cage does fucking Bangkok Dangerous, and you're just going to disown his entire career?
Oh, Jesus. What's that one? Like Sorcerer's Apprentice or something like that, you know? There were ones, I'm not going to lie, when I was younger, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. What is he doing? He keeps doing this. He keeps making these decisions, but I'm like, I always fall back on the stuff I love. You know, I'm like, no, it's there.
I've joked about it in the past. I've said, you know, it's another Cage paycheck gig, but not once did I ever lose faith. Yeah. I knew this man had given me some incredible movies. I was thankful for what I'd gotten, and I was optimistic for what I was going to get. And I'm so glad I stayed on the train, because it is going faster than fucking ever.
Yeah, it truly is. If you're not on board yet with what Cage has been doing the past 3 years, then I don't know what you're doing. I love that. I had a feeling that was going to come up somewhere.
Yeah.
And it basically just missed my top 5. And I think that might be just because I've seen it once. You know, maybe if I see it again, maybe it would kind of make its way in there. Because these movies I've seen definitely seen multiple times.
I've only seen Mandy once, and it still made it into mine. It made that much of an impact on me.
Did you give it a 9 off the bat?
I gave it an 8, but it's like, if I could do points, it's like an 8.7. Like, it's up there. It could go up. It's such an oddball. Like, I've never taken LSD, but I know that that's pretty much what it's going to look like.
and I would hope it, you know, if you're ever to do LSD, you're just, I'm just going to watch fucking Cage movies. What else would I do?
Yeah, I'm going to need some comfort food for that trip. I'm going to Cage.
Oh man, I love it. You could say my number 4 is comfort food for me, is LSD comfort food. It comes from the mind of David Lynch, Wild at Heart, 1990. Nicolas Cage playing, of course, Sailor Ripley. Sailor Ripley is with Laura Dern. Lula is her name. they're together, and her mom like fucking hates Sailor and wants him dead and has all these people like hired to kill him. It's fucking stupid, but it's so awesome. And Cage in this one, I mean, I love David Lynch to death. I love the decisions he makes. I love the musical choices he makes. And he does this right before Twin Peaks comes out. And you can see stuff in here with just the way Cage is moving. I mean, at one point he's got a cigarette and he's just kind of acting like he's surfing, you know? And you're like, what is he doing? Nobody else can pull this off. Nobody else can make this cool. And that's one of my favorite things about Cage. We're gonna say a lot of stuff about what we like about him, you know, what the stuff that he kind of represents, you know, whether it be Mandy, where he's just fucking off the leash and just, you know, going to town, or in Matchstick Men, where he's this kind of like OCD con artist who's just uber entertaining, or Wild at Heart when he's just floating. The guy's just floating and, you know, trying to avoid these fucking killers. And you know, I wouldn't be able to go to bed at night if I couldn't or didn't mention Willem Dafoe's performance as Bobby Peru. Good God, seeing Bobby Peru and Sailor on the screen at the same time, Nicolas Cage, Willem Dafoe, is so special. I hope people give Wild at Heart a chance. It is very weird, very bizarre, has a strange pace, but Cage is worth all your time.
Wild at Heart. I watched that when we did our Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me episode for the 100th Filmgazm.
Yeah.
I did all my David Lynch prep and I watched Wild at Heart, and it was a trip, but he was there for me. He was there to keep me grounded.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, I'm in a weird place, but I've got a buddy. So I'm going to be fine.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And that's how I feel just about David Lynch. You know, I'm okay. I don't know what's happening here. And I know he's just, for Lynch, it's all about the ride and not the destination. And I feel okay. Because I know that he is on the same page as me. And then you put Cage in the front seat and it's like, okay, yeah, game over.
Just seeing him, you know, belt out Love Me Tender.
Yeah.
is a treat. It's got that one nomination for Diane Ladd, so we could bring Wild at Heart to this show.
I know. You know, there's a lot of those random movies. Like at the top of my list for singular performance nominations is definitely The Town, Jeremy Renner. That's a movie I'm dying to do on the show at some point. There's a lot of those where that's all it is. They have that one performance, you know. Yeah. Even if I'm not mistaken, I've wanted to always do 1999's Boys Don't Cry, and I think it's just 2 performance nominations for the entire film and nothing else. And I love that idea that no, the direction might not be the best, the writing might not be the best, but these people fucking went for it with these characters. I really like that idea.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah, Wild at Heart, very good choice.
Yeah, I think you knew that was coming, huh? Yeah, I mean,
I think
it's Lynch and Cage.
I think that, you know, with the ones I have a feeling you're going to pick, I think are some that I overlooked, and I think the ones that I picked are some that you overlooked. So I think we're getting a good bunch of, you know, just great movies to talk about here. Yeah,
I mean, I love Face Off and Mandy, so totally fine with those being being talked about. Like you said, all 10 movies here. I think we might have an overlap, but however many movies we have, they're all great. They're all at least 8s to me. You know, they're it's that kind of territory. It's usually because of him.
I've got 3 8s and 2 9s. Actually, 1 9 and 1 10.
I have a 10 too. Yeah.
My next one is my number 3, a film I didn't really expect much from. I thought it was going to be kind of a mindless action thriller, but ended up being a very poignant depiction of grief and acceptance, and it is 2021's Pig.
Hell yeah. Cool. Let's go. I haven't been able to see this, man. I'm dying to see it. I've heard great things. I probably just need to go ahead and rent it.
It's worth it. It's worth shelling out $8 or $9. It's a great watch. It's the preview was so misleading. It made it think this was some kind of John Wick, you know, esque thriller over a pig. But really, it's a movie about loss and how that can affect your life. The way you choose to grieve affects every other aspect of your life. And Cage plays Rob, a hermit living in the woods whose beloved truffle pig finds truffles and he sells them to make ends meet. And he was a former like Michelin-starred, super respected chef who lost his wife. And then due to that, losing his wife, his whole life crumbled around him and he retreated into the woods. When his pig is kidnapped, he goes looking for it and finds out what happened. And instead of going full ape shit on these guys, he decides it's not what my wife would have wanted. I need to do this right. And I won't spoil it because it is quite a ride, but it's Cage's most subdued and strong performance in years. And I've heard early awards buzz. He might actually end up getting a Dark Horse nomination out of this, which would be insane. But it's such a solemn film, really sad, but really kind of optimistic at the same time, and definitely worth your time. It's a beautiful movie. And there's a scene with Adam Arkin, who plays the bad guy, and a meal that had me in fucking tears. It is so touching. And I want to buy this movie. I want to own this. I want to watch this again. It was such an experience. And I feel like nobody was talking about it because it got overshadowed by everything else that came out. I mean, I had to really hunt it down to see it at the movies. But this is Cage at his finest now. And it shows you that we are still being treated to impressive and dedicated performances that deserve our attention.
Well said. Well said. Yeah. I was having dinner one night, maybe a week ago or so, and I got a text from my older brother that said, "Yo, have you seen Pig?" And I was like, "No, man, I've heard great things though." And he was like, "Cage like never before," Yeah. And I think his fans, us, people like us who really appreciate him, that means a lot. That means a lot when he, not only is he in like a great movie that's super entertaining, like something like Mandy or Willy's Wonderland or Color Out of Space, but it's something that is going to live on forever when it comes to performances. That's really, really, really special. And I'm glad it showed up here. I love that you have two of his recent films on your top 5 that have just kind of taken him to a whole different level of stardom. And he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. He's here to stay, like he's going to be doing this now, which is so exciting. So exciting that there could be Oscar nominations on the horizon. There could be more awesome genre films. And that's really exciting knowing that he's in a lane that's working for him.
Cage is one of the few actors who I feel was a movie star who became a character actor. That never happens, but it happened to him because he did, due to financial fuck ups, he lost everything, had to kind of just make ends meet for a while and just became synonymous with direct to video movies. But unlike Bruce Willis, he didn't let it define him. And he's bouncing back. I will shoot at Bruce Willis all day. I got beefs with the guy, but Nick Cage, I respect him to death. And the fact that we get a movie like Pig after all we've gotten, the fact that he didn't just say, fuck it and just keep doing this shit. He wanted to be making decent work again. He wanted to feel good about his projects again. And he is. And that's awesome. I admire anyone with a fucking work ethic like that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Someone who can react the way he does, react to stuff, not just in movies, but in his own life. And kind of pull himself back up by the bootstraps and just kind of get after it. Is whether you like movies or not, or like a big movie person, that should be inspiring to just everyday life. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Super cool to see Pig. I got to get to that movie. I will find time. Maybe on my next off day, I'll kind of take some time to watch Pig. Because I've only heard good things about it. And it's, it's Cage, just like you said, kind of maybe getting a Dark Horse nomination. So I got to check that out. My number 3 is from the movie we're talking about today. Oh, Leaving Las Vegas. Nicolas Cage, Ben Sanderson. Of course, we have talked about this movie, how dark it is and how tough it is to process, while also realizing that Cage is just fucking dominant in it and plays maybe the best drunk I've ever seen. Where the film is about that, and the film doesn't let up. It's not a character who comes in and out, or that we see, we only see them get drunk and then, the screen turns to black because they're asleep. No. Like, that whole part of Ben Sanderson, of Nicolas Cage's character, is a massive part of the movie. How he can't sleep and how he has to crawl to the refrigerator to get vodka and orange juice because he's shaking. How he can't write his name on the back of a check because he's shaking so much that he hasn't had a drink all day. Cage is fucking unreal in this movie, and is obviously the reason we're doing this episode. I've always wanted to do this movie. Well, let's take it back to when we first started Filmgazm. You and I, we had these episodes every fifth episode. Filmgazm comes out on Wednesday. And we were just doing Filmgazm. We had no Oscar Sunday. We had no sneak preview. We had no Giggle Guys. We had nothing else going on. That was all of our attention was going to that. And we had so much on our mind that we wanted to talk about and share and watch and give these takes that we've had in our heads forever. You and I, we were like, okay, we're doing a Nick Cage episode on our Weird Shit Wednesday. Every fifth Wednesday, we called it Weird Shit Wednesday. We did a Coen Brothers one. We did Philip Seymour Hoffman. We did remind me what else we did.
Judy Garland, Vincent Price.
The
Godfather, Harry Potter. Like we went all over the place.
Yeah, we just kind of made that our okay. Let's go for like 2 hours plus and just fucking talk, and talk about a bunch of different things. The first one we did was Tarantino.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah. And then our first Oscar Sunday episode was Pulp Fiction. We clearly are big fans, but we wanted to do a Nick Cage episode, but we always came back to, holy shit, there's too many movies. There's too many movies. There's too many different kinds of movies. There's too many stretches of his career. How are we going to watch that within 1 month? How are we going to do this? And we kind of just put it to the side. And I feel like it finally came back around. Okay, here's where it makes sense. Let's talk about an Oscar Sunday where we can, critique the stuff from his career and also praise him for the great things he's done through his Oscar win. And I mean, obviously it's not my personal favorite performance of his. I have two others I like more, but it might be his best. It might be the most impressive thing he's ever done of what I've seen. Of course, there's movies like Pig that I need to check out and some older stuff I need to check out. But from what I've seen, I don't know of another guy who can do that. I know we've said that many times about all these movies, but in Leaving Las Vegas specifically, I mean, he plays an alcoholic pretty much perfectly. And the damage he's doing to everything around him. And when there's a shot of him towards the beginning of the film where he's screaming in the car while he's driving, and you're just like, oh my God, dude, this guy is acting his ass off. And I have to have it in my top 5 because I love the movie. It gets a big fat 9 from me. I just think it's like a must see. And he is at the forefront, just destroying, just shredding everything in his way, and really drinking liquor at times in the movie. Nicolas Cage is really like chugging shit at points in the movie, and it just shows. It just shows that he took it from acting to like literal. No, I'm gonna like really figure out what it means to be an alcoholic and like how damaging it is, and it showed in this one. And a very daunting performance. One of the most kind of out there and dark Best Actor winners of all time.
This is as far as his best, I mean, that's definitely what the Academy thought. And I am glad he won an Oscar. I'll talk more about this later. Personally, I think there was another film that he should have gotten that Oscar for. But I'm glad he does have one. And it's hard to argue with this performance. It is quite a roller coaster. And yeah, I do agree with you that it is the best depiction of alcoholism I've ever seen on film. Just pure dedication to chaos and destruction, regardless of, the destruction in his wake is palpable. Everyone he touches is poisoned by his just reckless abandon. It's fucked up. It's incredibly disturbing. And the fact that there is no redemption, there is no way back, is so anti-Hollywood that you feel like just as, full of despair as he does at times. At the end of this thing, you're like, fuck, that's it? Like,
yeah,
that's our hope? Just, floating at the bottom of a bottle of vodka? Like, Jesus. But yeah, I knew this was going to end up on your 5. This is definitely a very poignant performance, and yeah, well picked, well chosen.
Hell yeah, man. I don't know what's more impressive is when he's like in those phases where it's like, holy shit, this is so damaging and is destroying his body. Or the scenes where he's like at a bar and he's just like la da 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 da, just singing and being a fucking goofball. Like I don't like both. The balance of this character is so crazy. And then you add the chemistry with Elizabeth Shue. Oh boy, that's something we'll be talking about later.
Fuck yeah. Oof. So that was your 3?
Yes. Yeah. So I have Matchstick Men, Wild at Heart, Leaving Las Vegas. You have Face Off, Mandy, and Pig. Top 2. All
right. My number 2 is a film I had always meant to watch, but never watched it until now for the prep for Leaving Las Vegas. It is hands down one of the weirdest, most meta films I've ever seen in my life. I fully expected to not be on board with this, and I was sold within 5 minutes, and it is Adaptation.
Yes, sir.
Charlie and Donald Kaufman. Twin screenwriters, fictitious. Charlie Kaufman in real life struggled to adapt the book The Orchid Thief by Susan Orlean, and ended up writing a screenplay about him trying to adapt The Orchid Thief. And this weird ass movie is what we got. And it is so entertaining and such a great commentary on the industry itself. And Cage plays a writer's block Charlie Kaufman and his suddenly inspired twin brother Donald Kaufman, who's writing some shitty thriller, but is having no issues with it. And just seeing them, Charlie be so insecure and, broken and a hopeless romantic, and like the way he'd imagine, making out with every woman he comes into contact with, because he doesn't have it. He doesn't know how to talk to women. And then Donald being so confident and so sure of himself and, confident in his work, everything that Charlie isn't. And I mean, it's perfect. And Cage's performance is dynamic as shit. It is so strong. And frankly, for me, that's the movie he should have walked away with Best Actor for.
Totally fair.
Yeah. It's such a fun watch. It goes off the fucking rails in the second half, but it makes sense when you think, okay, now this is Donald's screenplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And just, Meryl Streep and Chris Cooper and Tilda Swinton and Maggie Gyllenhaal, and just this incredible cast that all reinforce his performance. I mean, just scenes that are on the set of Being John Malkovich. Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
yeah.
It's bizarre as hell, but a fun, incredible watch that is just going to reinforce your belief in film itself. I believe. Wonderful performance.
That's my number 2 as well. Love Adaptation. It's a damn shame it wasn't up for Best Picture. I think it's, for me, the only movie that could have rivaled Two Towers, which of course lost to Chicago. Chicago's good. Gigs in New York is good, but Adaptation is better than The Hours and The Pianist. Like, it should have been there. Should have been in that 5. And as far as Cage goes, that's really hard, because if we're just talking about Cage, I do think there is something just uber original about what he's doing in adaptation, and I'd be totally fine with him winning. But that means, and Adrian Brody won that year for The Pianist, but that would mean that he beat Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York. And I don't know if I can swallow that.
Dude, that would be fucking beautiful if Nicolas Cage defeated like the great one. That would be amazing.
Well, if he would have won, he would have beat Adrian Brody, Michael Caine, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Jack Nicholson.
Jesus Christ.
That would have been pretty cool. Yeah. And I have no qualms with that. I think Cage doing the duel thing is incredible. And his like posture is so unique in this movie. Just the way he carries himself. Yeah.
He's just kind of bent into himself. Like he's not part of the world. The world's crushing him down. But then when he's Donald, he's just walking around, not a care in the world. Yeah. It's the distinction between the two characters that sold me the most. You can tell when you're watching Charlie and when you're watching Donald.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Charlie's just totally crumbling. And I love how Donald's like, well, have you read up on how to write a screenplay? Like this is how you do it.
I love little things when Charlie's like, don't say industry and things like that. Like,
yeah, this movie's loaded, like absolutely loaded. Meryl Streep, Tilda Swinton, Chris Cooper. There's so many cool actors, and Cage is outperforming all of them, quite frankly. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to say, that he's outperforming Meryl Streep in a movie. But he totally is. Adaptation is I would say like one of from that decade, the 2000s, is just one of like the 25 movies you have to see.
Yeah,
you got to. And what, like you said, it's kind of speaking about the industry itself. The industry, it's speaking about it in ways that movies just don't go near, because they don't want to go near it, because they don't want to make fun of themselves. Obviously, Kaufman and Spike Jonze are very okay with being honest, and this is the peak for both of them.
I mentioned in my review that I've not enjoyed anything Charlie Kaufman has written and directed himself, but the two films he's done with Spike Jonze, I fucking adored. So I wonder what that is. I think he just needs somebody to kind of balance him out. And yeah. And then 2004, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He didn't direct that either. I do think there is something to be said about a guy who is a writer. That's what he's best at. I do love Anomalisa. I'm such a massive fan of that one. I know you have your thoughts about like I'm thinking of ending things. Yeah, I like that one. It's a little weird, but I do like that one a lot. I like him. I've heard him in interviews, and he just makes a lot of sense to me, because he's obsessed with this world that he has issues with. He's obsessed with movies and storytelling and art, while at the same time being very disgusted by it. And I love that. That's the ultimate, catch-22 of an artist. To be an artist, to be successful, to have something that you call your own, you got to get through this nightmare of an industry that is constantly destroying lives.
Yeah.
And that's the price you got to pay. And it's a damn shame. I've not seen Anomalisa or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
You've seen Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, right?
Yes, I have seen that.
Okay, yeah, that movie kicks ass. That's him and George Clooney working together.
I didn't know Charlie Kaufman wrote that.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck, that's awesome.
That movie rules. Yeah, so that's both 2002 adaptation, of course, and Confessions. He's a name to kind of reckon with, and has a career that's just completely its own, kind of like Cage. And it's really cool that I think you could look at the peak of their careers being adaptation for Spike Jonze, for Charlie Kaufman, and for Nicolas Cage.
It's great.
Crazy. Yeah, man. I could talk about that movie all day. It will get its own episode one day. Chris Cooper won. The dog, Cooper, who's so good in that movie. He is so good. I love his performance in that. So nuanced, just like the movie itself. Him and Meryl Streep kind of having like a love story. What the fuck? We don't deserve that movie.
Yeah. How do you pitch that thing? I mean, I wonder what Susan Orlean thought of it. Like, she's a real author. She's a real New Yorker person who wrote a book about orchids. And then this dude adapts her into a fucking like, love triangle killer. And I would love to hear her thoughts on this thing.
Me too. No kidding. Adaptation. One day it will get its own awards here on Oscar Sunday. That's for sure. It's damn good. So that's our number 2. I knew that was going to come on here. I knew that was going to be on here because of the way you reacted to it and you texted me like, "Holy shit, dude. This is fucking wild." This is just kind of like, well, how is it all inside 2 hours? Like, how do they do this? It's total magic. But I think I know where we're going here. I think I know where number 1 is. Go ahead and say it, man, because I'm pretty sure it's the same.
Well, there's one thing that y'all should know about us on all of our shows is we never really like to stray too far from the Coen brothers.
Hell no.
And their second film was, to me, the definitive Nicolas Cage performance, and that is as Mr. H.I. McDonough in 1987's Raising Arizona.
Yes, same here. That's my number 1 as well.
Fuck yeah, man. That's fantastic.
It's just, I love adaptation. I love Leaving Las Vegas. I really enjoy Wild at Heart, Matchstick Men, but Raising Arizona is a pure 10 out of 10. One of the Coen brothers' best movies. It's always been in my top 5 Coen, and will always be my number 1 Cage. I don't see how anything could pass it. No. I mean, just his mustache and hair alone is all I need.
The fucking Hawaiian shirt and the white t-shirt and the swagger about him. The like, I don't care. I got me a family. Like just the weird. He's a nice guy who just is such a fuck up at heart.
Yeah.
And there's so many just great lines in that movie. Like when they kidnap Nathan Jr. and they're just sitting there and all of a sudden H.I. goes like, hot damn, we got us a family here. Little things like that. It's such a flawless movie. It's a great comedy. It's hilarious beginning to end. It's got so many great characters. It showcases the potential of the Coen brothers and of Nicolas Cage. I'm so bummed they never worked together again.
But they knew they couldn't top it. Yeah. They knew. They knew. They were like, we can't do it. We cannot top what we did in the 80s with Cage. We'll get close. We'll try stuff. I think Big Lebowski might be a slightly better movie, but there is no character as good as H.I.
H.I. is a fucking, distant cousin of the dude.
Yep.
Just a laid back, I don't give a fuck, but I'm going to do the right thing kind of guy. And it's so perfect. There's what's right and there's what's right. Never the twain shall meet.
Yeah.
Just, oh God,
I'll be taking these Huggies, whatever cash you got.
Better hurry it up. I'm in Dutch with the wife.
Yeah. I'm in Dutch. I love that. I say that just like if I'm at work and I'm like, well, you better hurry that up because I'm in Dutch with whoever. It doesn't have to be my wife or anything. I'll just use it for my own life. Well, whatever's happening at that moment. All because of this movie. There's so much to be said about Raising Arizona. There's so much there for us as like you said, as big Coen brothers fans and big Cage fans. And the originality of that movie is to me what sets it apart from other Coen movies. That's kind of what they do always with their big great movies, like No Country and Big Lebowski, Barton Fink. There's so many movies I just Miller's Crossing. So many I just love, and they just kind of stand on their own. They kind of teeter on different genres. Obviously comedy, obviously like thriller, horror. Sometimes in Miller's Crossing you got like some of the coolest gangster moments of all time, but it's also got some moments of being really funny. They just can't help it. They cannot help but having that humor, and the humor shines through so much in Raising Arizona. Just their ability to write a screenplay and write exactly how normal ass people in America, usually Midwest, because they're from Minnesota. It's just how those people talk. We did an episode on Fargo on this long time ago now. And I remember just kind of being like, shame on me. This is an amazing movie. I didn't put it in the upper echelon of Coen's, and now I do, of course. But I never thought that about Raising Arizona. It just was always, it kind of can't be touched. It's always going to be in that top 5, top 6 best Coen movies of all time. It's cemented itself there. And with Cage, I just don't even know what to say. If you haven't seen that movie, I don't know what you're doing. It's such a treat, such a blast. I don't know anybody who's watched it and been like, oh, that was kind of boring. It's like, no, it's fantastic. And it also showcases one of the more decorated women of all time when it comes to the Oscars, Frances McDormand.
Yes.
And it's like, they're coming. This is about to be a power couple. and they have not gone anywhere. In fact, they're going to be coming back, her and Denzel and Coen. So that'll be coming soon. And I love that. I love that about this movie, that just kind of shows you these glimpses into what's about to hit us.
Yeah, and this, apart from Cage, Holly Hunter is incredible in that movie.
Yeah.
Fucking Randall Tex Cobb, John Goodman, Forsyth. I don't remember his name, but the guy who plays Nathan Arizona might be my favorite.
Trey Wilson is
Trey perfect. Wilson. That's the guy. The part where he's being interviewed by the cops when Nathan Jr. goes missing, and he's like, nobody sleeps naked in this house, son, and just things like that.
God, now that I'm thinking about it, just you just start flooding with stuff like Sam McMurray and Frances McDormand, Glenn and Dot, when they're like talking to them about, oh, well, you haven't set up, this and that for the future of the kids. Like, what are you doing? You got to do that.
Got to get his dip tat.
Yeah.
I bet when you had Willow, that whole conversation became a hell of a lot funnier.
Oh, 100%. This movie is way funnier now that I have a child, because now I can look back. I can be driving the car and I can look back and be like, hot damn, I got a family here. I can say these things and it's actually got a bit of truth to it. So
that's fucking great.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh, God, I love Raising Arizona. I kind of knew all along. Adaptation is very dear to my heart, and so is Las Vegas. But Raising Arizona is wildly entertaining, and I've seen it so many times that it's kind of hard to even look any other way.
You got chairs, you got a dinette set. You got no chairs, you got dick.
Yeah.
My name ain't Nathan Arizona.
Yeah. So good.
It's flawless, such a fun movie, and I'm so fucking glad we like our 2 and 1 were the fucking same. That's great.
As far as I'm concerned, that is the only one too. Well, and what more could you want out of a double feature, a Cage double feature? You get him playing this wild, wacky dude who just got out of the joint, and then you have him playing this subdued screenwriter, and then of course his brother, who's this kind of larger than life guy who wants to write movies. And it is perfect to watch those 2 movies together. I can't imagine a better night.
Yeah. And it's hard to narrow this down to 5. I mean, we didn't even bring up, The Rock or Moonstruck or Con Air. National Treasure, Bad Lieutenant, Joe, Lord of War. I mean, he's been doing just fantastic work for so long now.
Yeah.
That you're never going to run out of Cage movies to watch. You'll always have something that you didn't get to. And
exactly,
that's the best part, to just the journey never ends. For every movie you watch, it's going to do 3 more. It's awesome.
There you go. Yeah. For every Cage movie you watch, he's going to do 3 more. That's about right. You can never keep up with the man. You can always try though. And it's going to pay off no matter what you choose. It's going to pay off, because it's either going to be a damn good performance inside of a wacky movie, or a damn good performance in a damn good movie. He's always bringing it, even if it's one of those shit like, what is this? Why is he doing this? Even then, Nicolas Cage brings his thunder. He brings that, the only kind of like gravitas that he has, and I love it. And he totally deserves his own top 5. I love that. So I had Matchstick Men, Wild at Heart, Leaving Las Vegas, adaptation, Raising Arizona. You had Face Off, Mandy, Pig, adaptation, Raising Arizona. Very cool.
That was a blast. Yeah, that was fantastic. I love doing these.
Oh yeah, I think this has become the best part of my week when it comes to movies, because I can just kind of finally speak my mind about an entire person's, an entire career of one person. It'd be fun to do this with anybody, it'd be fun to do it with Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, all these huge stars. But I don't know if it's going to be any more fun than doing Nicolas Cage.
Well, the best part of this for me is like finally hunkering down and actually watching the critically acclaimed stuff that these guys are known for. So I have more to bring into the conversation. That's the best. Is, building on to that ever growing talk is the best part.
Yeah. I mean, what's better than getting on Letterboxd and hitting a movie that you haven't seen yet and rating it and giving it that whatever 4.5, 5 stars. And now you're like, it's in my arsenal.
I become obsessed with that website.
Yeah, I don't see, if you love movies, it's hard to not just get enthralled by it, because you can do so much. You can look at other people's stuff, look at other lists, reviews, and just it's a movie kingdom. I just got an email last night from Letterboxd, or a couple nights ago, I don't know, and it said, because I pay for the pro, like with no ads or anything, and it's like $20 a year or something, and they said, hey, your year-long subscription ends October 15th, and they have like an option to keep going, and I was like, well, yeah, I mean, why would I ever stop? It's $20 for the year to make sure that I'm kind of logging my movie life.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I need.
Yeah. I've got the ad. I've got the regular free version, but I'm thinking about trading up. I mean, $20 a year is nothing.
No. And the ads fucking annoy the shit out of me, because I want it to look clean, and I'm like, stuff is in the way.
I know exactly what you mean.
I'm just like that too. Like when an ad comes on when I'm watching Hulu, I'm like, fuck you. I already pay for this shit. Get the hell out of here. I don't need.
Dude, I was watching something the other day. I think it was What We Do in the Shadows, or a movie or something. But there was like a third. Oh no, it was on Peacock, and it was the movie My Son that I just watched for a sneak preview. And we paid for the ad-free Peacock, like the premium one, and there's still like a 30-second ad before the movie, and I'm like, and like a couple during, and I'm like, what are we fucking paying for here?
Yeah, fucking bullshit. That's what it is. Ugh. Well, those bastards. I mean, to be honest, if you ever want to, especially in the podcasting world, if you ever want to make money, you have to use ads. You have to have advertisements. That's the way of the world now, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have an ad because we try to make a little moolah out of this. Peacock is owned by NBC, who make billions every year. They don't fucking need the money.
They don't need more, but that's how they stay on top.
Movie sucked too. That was just bad experience.
Frustrating.
Anyway, yeah, Cage, always a pleasure to talk about him and his work. And
yes.
I'm looking forward to doing more of these top fives as we go along.
Yeah, so much fun. Yeah, definitely. If you're listening to Oscar Sunday and you're digging what's going on, expect more of it. More top fives, more discussions like this, where it's based around something that they've done through the Oscars, and then we kind of take that passion of ours to the next level and get to talk about different movies that maybe aren't nominated. So lots of fun. Next week, we're going to be doing something really special. I can't wait to talk about that later. But for now, we've done the top 5 Cage. That was cool. Let's look at before we do our awards for Las Vegas. Let's briefly look at the 68th Academy Awards. These are the films of 1995, the year we were born. Both of us. Leaving Las Vegas is just in 4 categories, but all big categories: screenplay, director, best actress in a lead role, and best actor in a lead role. So we'll start with screenplay. Let's do screenplay, and this is of course adapted. Screenplay. Leaving Las Vegas was up against Babe, Apollo 13. This one I haven't really heard of. Postino the Postman.
Yeah.
And then you got the winner, Sense and Sensibility. Fantastic movie. Emma Thompson at the peak of her game. But I've seen all of these except for Postino the Postman, and I'd say Leaving Las Vegas has an argument here.
I've only seen Leaving Las Vegas and Apollo 13. But Sense and Sensibility, I've yet to really tap into Jane Austen's films. So I can't say, but yeah, Leaving Las Vegas has a pretty tight screenplay and really kind of, makes the movie here. So I think this probably should have gone to that.
Hell yeah, man. Apollo 13. What are your thoughts on that one?
That's a great movie. That's tense as hell.
Yeah.
Fun, like true space story that there's not a lot of films out there that are actually, about real events in space that we did that aren't like sci-fi. And the fact that they even made it out of that fucking nightmare is amazing. And I really enjoyed Apollo 13. That's a great movie.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I don't think we ever really talked about that one, which is weird,
Yeah, just has not come up.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that one a lot. Let's see. Let's get director out of the way here. Then we can go to the performance stuff. We have Michael Radford for Postino the Postman, Mike Figgis for Leaving Las Vegas, Tim Robbins for Dead Man Walking, Chris Noonan for Babe, and the winner, Mel Gibson for Braveheart. How about that?
Okay. Let's get this out of the way right now. I fucking adore Braveheart.
Yeah, it's not really for me. This year is a bit, for me, a bit weak when it comes to these top two categories, Best Director and Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not, I don't know. It doesn't have a lot of passion for me. Not a lot going on.
I get that. Yeah, there's some. I think it's weird that with a lot of films that came out in '95, I haven't seen Babe, but it seems like small potatoes compared to some of these other movies. I mean, a movie about a pig who wants to be a sheepdog. Are we really? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine.
But where's Heat? Where's Casino? Where's Before Sunrise? Where's Seven? What happened?
Toy Story. Yeah. Why is Toy Story not just up for Best Picture? Like, what the fuck?
Oh, these are the questions you got to ask. But personally, I have no issues whatsoever about Mel Gibson taking it for Braveheart. I mean, this was Mel Gibson before we knew he was a racist, sexist piece of shit. So, sure.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Look, the Academy has given Roman Polanski his flowers. So they don't fucking care about that stuff, apparently. Gibson, when it comes to just his talent and what he brings to the table, Braveheart is a good movie. I just don't find it to be, for me, I don't find it to be this movie that I'm rushing back to or wanting to rewatch. One of my best friends in the world, Kelly Gutierrez, he's not a huge movie guy, but he has his favorites, and he likes to watch movies. I'm not saying he doesn't like movies. I mean, he's definitely someone who just kind of throws it on Netflix and just sees what's on there. But Braveheart's always been a movie he's just stood by. Like that movie fucking rocks, and because of him, I watched it not that long ago because he wanted to check it out, rewatch it, and I was just I don't know, I was a bit underwhelmed because of that director, Best Picture, those things. I attach those things to it, and I think it's a little bit unfair of me to judge it that way. I call it the Argo effect. When Argo won Best Picture, it immediately became, Public Enemy #1 amongst critics and movie fans, trying to pick it apart. And, well, why is Ben Affleck playing Tony Mendez? Why are we, and they're making different, Canadians look stupid or whatever, and different stuff like that. But if you just watch the movie, it's actually pretty good. I think Braveheart does have a bit of that. I think I judge it a little too hard because it won that stuff. You know what I mean?
Every man dies. No, every man really lives.
A lot of help you'd be, laddie.
Braveheart has been a firm favorite of mine for years now. I can't hear any argument against it. It's one of those films where I'm just like, yeah, this is a war epic that totally brings tears to my eyes. I've seen it many times. It's a winner. It's one of the films in history, few films in history, I think truly deserves to be called Best Picture. And I know it's a big ass lie. I know the Scots hate it because it's just making shit up about Scottish history. I know that. But, as a film, it's a great movie. I mean, yeah, of course, the bloodline of the King of England did not continue with fucking William Wallace sleeping with the princess. That did not happen.
Yeah, you should know that already. Yeah.
But the scene at the end, well, I'm spoiling it. It's been, 26 years. It's your fault.
Yeah.
At the end, when Robert the Bruce is told, surrender to England, and you will keep your land. And he's got the Scottish army there ready to, Wallace has been killed. The war is over. And Robert the Bruce has this moment of what am I doing? These are my people. And he turns to the Scots and he goes, you bled for Wallace, now bleed for me, and charges the English. Not a dry eye in the fucking house, man. I love that so much. It is such a powerful movie. Oh,
hell yeah.
I'm waiting for the showdown. Where's the Braveheart showdown?
Well, here's my issue with that as well. That means we have to Apollo 13, pretty good. That means we got to watch Babe. That means we got to really talk about Sense and Sensibility, which I don't think is really up your alley.
Probably.
After what was the film we talked about with Emma Thompson?
Howard's End.
Yeah. After talking about that, yeah. After talking about that one, it's just that's probably not really his. And Postino the Postman, I don't really know much about. It's just not, especially from the 90s. I mean, the year before you have Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump going head to head, quiz show. Awesome movies. And then the year after is 96, where you have Fargo, Losing the English Patient, and there's some interesting stuff in there. I think it's one of the group altogether, those five are just not as intriguing as a lot of other stuff,
Well, our upcoming showdown, apart from a certain, film that we've really enjoyed, I'm trying not to be too spoiler here. I feel like the other films are pretty fucking, 70s epic and not quite, exciting. So,
oh man, I've enjoyed the hell out of the one we're doing. Yeah, I've had a blast. I've really enjoyed one that I watched for the first time, and the top two, I'll talk about all fucking day.
Well,
yeah. I see what you're saying, though. I see what you're saying. Well, we talked about 1970 one time, where it's Patton, 5 easy pieces, and 3 pieces of shit.
3 not so easy pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It happens. We will do it one day. We're going to do every single Best Picture winner at some point. Going to do them all. I love that. I love that. You're trying not to give it away. Clearly, we're going to be moving in the direction of the 70s. But which year will it be? Yeah. So Mel Gibson wins Best Director.
Yeah.
These other guys, these are names that are either, haven't really done a whole lot else, or it's Tim Robbins, and he's more known for obviously his performances. So I think Mel Gibson was like a shoo-in at the time this ceremony happened, and I think everybody knew during that kind of award season, this is Mel Gibson's to lose. It's that kind of people in the U.S. really, really liked it. So I think it's kind of a hands down kind of Best Picture and Best Director win, where it was no, this is clearly the best of this group. Now let's move on to these performance categories, where we have Miss Elizabeth Shue and Nicolas Cage. So Best Actress, you have Emma Thompson for Sense and Sensibility, Meryl Streep for The Bridges of Madison County, unreal performance. Sharon Stone in Casino, also an awesome performance. Elizabeth Shue, Leaving Las Vegas, and the winner, Susan Sarandon in Dead Man Walking. This is a murderer's row.
Yeah, I've only seen Casino and Leaving Las Vegas. I have not seen Sense Sensibility, Bridges of Madison County, or Dead Man Walking. Dead Man Walking especially is one I fucking should have made it to by now. I'll get to it, I promise. But
I know. Yeah.
And I Bridges of Madison County, I've heard kind of mixed things about, but you say she's incredible, huh?
Yeah, this is right up my alley. It's very, very kind of simple, easy movie as far as just kind of like the way it's shot, the way the story's told, and Guy, I love Meryl Streep. I'm kind of a sucker, like the Academy, like the Academy is. It's also, Mr. Clint Eastwood, one of the masters in the director's chair, from a very, very famous book. I could see how it's boring to people, but I find it to be amazing because of how good they are.
I feel like I've asked you this before, but did you ever watch Death Becomes Her?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's probably my favorite Meryl Streep performance.
Oof, that's really tough.
But granted, I have not seen enough to really make that claim. I've never seen Sophie's Choice.
Okay, yeah.
I've got a lot to do with Streep, but Death Becomes Her's been there since I was a kid. I've clearly been a Zemeckis fan since I came out of the womb.
Yeah.
And just seeing Meryl Streep play a bad actress is hilarious.
Extremely. Yeah, she's a goddamn treasure. Meryl, she's the best. Sophie's Choice, like, believe the hype. It is.
I know. It's one of those movies that, again, I know is going to be great, but it's going to fucking be so sad.
Yeah, it's going to annihilate you. Yeah. Ugh. And I think she is breathtaking in Crime vs. Kramer.
Yeah.
Alongside, of course, Mr. Dustin Hoffman. One of my favorite scenes from the 70s altogether is when Dustin Hoffman slaps the glass right in front of her when she didn't know it was going to happen. Her reaction to his action is just perfect. It's just perfection. It's some of the best acting I've ever seen in that movie. And shit. Oh, Devil Wears Prada. Jesus Christ. Like, talk about entertaining.
Meryl I saw like 15 minutes of that in a hotel. I've never seen the whole movie.
That movie's fucking kick ass. I could kind of throw that one on whenever. It's also one of Brianna's favorites. Man, yeah, she is a fucking dog in that movie, just getting after people. I love it. She can do that, and then she can play in Sophie's Choice, where she's doing this whole accent and is talking that way the entire film, and is just destroying you. Attack on the senses type stuff. So yeah, I love her. I'm not quite sure if she should have 20 plus nominations, because really, who should have that, right? I don't think there's anybody besides Nicolas Cage who could have that. No, I'm just kidding. I think that's kind of crazy, because that means you're not looking at enough people.
Yeah.
That means you're not giving other people chances to break in and for them to be recognized. I'm not saying you need to give out participation trophies, but when there's only 5 spots, how does the same woman make it over and over? Because there are great performances within every year. I just think a lot of the time we don't look in the right place. I think they get missed. I think things go under the radar, and Streep is one of those just box office, giants of her day, of the 70s and 80s. So I forgot the Deer Hunter. She's so good in the Deer Hunter. My God. Yeah, she's the man.
I also feel like even she is like, really, again?
Yeah.
Every year.
I wasn't even trying.
Like, I feel like I think she's doing her own experiment to see, like, if she can phone it in and still get one. And like, I liked The Post. I don't think she needed a nomination for that.
She's fine in it. Yeah.
I didn't think The Iron Lady was a good movie at all. I thought that was terrible.
Yeah. Pretty boring. Yeah.
And she fucking won for that.
Yeah. That sucks that that's her third win, because there's so many others that are better.
Well, I love that she got up. Like, are you really? Like, her look is like, oh, all right. She gets up there and is like, okay, I guess I'll thank my agent and my husband. Like, she kind of is like, yeah. I guess I'm, she didn't seem to care. It was funny.
Yeah, right. Hilarious.
Yeah.
If I could give a vote, it'd be Elizabeth Shue, though. She's dynamite in Leaving Las Vegas, and is doing stuff that they're like, no, these people aren't doing. The demand, the physical demand, the mental demand that this role takes out of you is crazy. And it's just really hard to believe that someone who oozes that kind of talent in one movie, that this is the only nomination she's ever gotten.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot to show for throughout her career. It's kind of frustrating.
Give it to Susan Sarandon for Atlantic City. Give it to Elizabeth Shue for Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Love that movie. One of my favorite 1981 movies for sure. Yeah, so nothing wrong with that.
Fuck yeah. I'll talk more about Elizabeth Shue when we get into the meat of our awards.
Perfect. All right, let's get through this badass group of best actors and then get on to our awards. We have Nicolas Cage as the winner, of course, Leaving Las Vegas. Richard Dreyfuss, Mr. Holland's Opus. Still haven't seen that. Got to see that one.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins and Nixon. Oof. Lights out. Sean Penn and Dead Man Walking. And then Massimo Troisi in Postino the Postman. We might have to check that out. That's a posthumous nomination. That's really interesting. And I think that movie keeps showing up for a reason. It's kind of calling out.
Yeah, I've been hearing about this for years now. I always confused it with that shitty Kevin Costner movie from like 96. And it's not that at all. So yeah, I think this is worth checking out, definitely. This is a amazing group of actors here, and I regret that I have not seen any. I've been wanting to see Nixon for a long time.
Well, look at the supporting actor group. Like, are you fucking kidding me? What a group! What a group!
Fuck, that's beautiful. This is
Tim Roth, yeah. Brad Pitt, yeah. Ed Harris, hell yeah. James Cromwell, what? And then Kevin Spacey, yikes. Of course, that's one of his 2 wins. You know, we've covered American Beauty on this show, and both responded to that watch. You know, we were like, holy hell, this movie. You put everything to the side, and this movie kind of kicks ass. It's kind of incredible.
Yeah, American Beauty is beautiful.
Yeah, and Usual Suspects is also a damn good film. Loses a lot of that sting the second time you watch it, just because of the you know, the nature of it. But that first time, I'll never forget it, and just kind of getting the chills. You know, Kaiser Soze.
One of the biggest regrets of my life is that I knew about the twist of The Usual Suspects before I saw the movie.
Oh,
so I never got to have that moment. And
that's fucked.
Yeah, I fell asleep watching it because I was like, yeah, I know he's Kaiser Soze, so what am I really getting out of this? And that fucking sucks. So I want to watch that again just to kind of redeem that my viewing of it, where I'm like, all right, I'm sitting down, I know the twist, but I can still try to find something from this. I would like to do that. So, yeah, just a bummer.
Well, yeah, Benicio del Toro, just him alone is like totally worth every second, you know.
And it's one of, you
Hayes, you fucking cocksucker.
And it's like Gabriel Byrne, who like did a movie every 5 fucking years. So
yeah,
one of his.
Yeah. and then one of the Baldwins. Oh man, yeah. Good movie. I would like to do it on the show to properly watch it, properly give it awards, and just kind of break it down for what it is. I feel that way about a lot of these 95 movies, though, that I just want to do. We did do Toy Story. That was a fun episode with Caleb Leger.
Yeah.
Filmgazm, big time Filmgazm contributor. And that was cool to do. We did the big old Pixar bracket. That was a lot of fun. Fucking Pocahontas wins Best Original Song and Best Original Music. Fuck off. That's crazy.
Well, wait. Well, okay.
Yeah, I don't like that movie one bit. The songs, yeah, sure, they're good, but I just don't think that movie should be anywhere near awards.
Pocahontas is a shit movie that's super dishonest to Native American history, but Colors of the Wind is a track. That's a jam. That is a beautiful song.
Colors of the Wind fucking slaps. Yeah. I agree. I do. And Alan Menken is kind of the master when it comes to Disney music, but also kind of like he kind of was a fucking dick at that time, was trying to write stuff that was super offensive, like in Aladdin and Hercules and stuff. And you just like, what are you doing? Why are you working in kids movies? What are you doing? Fucking weirdo. But it's Disney, man. It's Disney. Like they've got gaping holes in the, you know, in different decades, different eras, where you can just kind of be like, oh, but there's a certain kind of person at the helm.
But also listen to the lyrics of Colors of the Wind. It's about,
I know,
being accepting of everybody and realizing that everyone thinks differently than you do, and to accept all cultures and be unified with nature. Like, it's a beautiful fucking song, man.
I'll take You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story, you know, because Toy Story is just solid. The messages that movie is getting across without being offensive to an entire group of people. Like, you know, Toy Story is just about toys. It's not offending anybody. I can't stand that movie. And it's also got Mel Gibson's not even fucking trying to do an accent. He's just like, yeah, I'm just fucking American, you know? It's like, what is this? John Smith is just full on like 1982 American. Like, what? So lazy. So lazy.
Yeah.
But the music is good, like on its own. Like you said, it's the track itself on its own is very good. And the colors in that movie are fucking breathtaking. So I'll give it that as a movie, you know. I'd still give it maybe a 5 or a 6 just based on it looks really beautiful.
I mean,
but as you get older and you realize what it's doing, you're like, yikes. Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm a history buff who specializes in early American history. You know how much that movie pisses me off.
Yes. We've talked about it before at some point. I can't really remember when.
We did the Beauty and the Beast episode when we covered the 90s Disney run. This came up.
And well, that's like the one that sucks. You know, you have Lion King right next to it, A+, you know, kind of stuff. And you know, like Hercules, I just mentioned it. Hercules is super entertaining. Kind of annoying that one's even there, right?
Yeah, and I've got no beef with. I would love to see Randy Newman take one for "You've Got a Friend in Me," which would be just great. But I do love "Colors of the Wind" as a song. It's on my iPod. I won't lie. I have Vanessa Williams singing that song, and I get a little teary-eyed when I hear that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
I got some Disney songs all over. I got some Lion King. I got some Pocahontas. I got a song from Brave on there. Oh,
hell yeah. Brave's got some great music. Yeah. I think before I got to mention this before we get to our awards. I think my favorite category at this show, just because the 3 movies that are in it, is best sound effects editing. Crimson Tide, Batman Forever, and Braveheart. What the fuck?
I will never for the life of me understand how Batman Forever scored 4 Oscar nominations.
Yeah, it's best cinematography. Okay. All right.
Jesus Christ. Some things just don't make sense. Oh my God. What? Oh, at least Braveheart defeated it. Thank God.
Yeah. Braveheart kind of destroyed at this ceremony. It just kind of
how does Apollo 13 not land a nomination for cinematography?
That makes very, very little sense.
Yeah, this Oscars, I'm just not very acquainted with this particular award show. I have not seen a lot of the bigger nominees, and they're kind of films that have just escaped me or I've never really been interested in.
Yeah, I think 1995 has just so much better stuff to offer. Like Tommy Boy, like Friday, like a Goofy movie, you know, movies that are kind of staples of.
Dude, fucking Eye to Eye Powerline song should have been up for best song.
Okay, yeah, see, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that soundtrack is awesome.
Yeah,
it's so cool. Powerline as a character, like inside of this Goofy movie, where like essentially that's what Max is trying to get to the entire time. It's fucking awesome. I love a Goofy movie. It's like 75 minutes long, but it'll just raise you up. It'll raise you up like nothing else. I stand by that movie like so hard. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. Just, I love a Goofy movie. Goofy is probably the best movie dad ever. I mean, this guy is taking his kid on a road trip to fucking Idaho, you know, just to like hang out. I just want to hang out with my son.
Lake Destiny.
Yeah, fucking Lake Destiny. I love when they, who's your favorite possum?
I love that you love this movie as much as I do.
Yeah. Oh man. Love. I don't even know how to describe how much I care about Goofy movie. I really don't.
It gets hard.
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to even like do the perfect cast, Dad. And that's how he saves his own father, is doing the perfect cast. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Dude, the scene where they're in the accident with the car in the river and Max yells at him like, I've got my own life now. And Goofy's like, I know, I just wanted to be part of it. How do you not tear up, man? Like, it's
lights out.
It's such a perfect, father-son relationship.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing I've ever liked Pauly Shore in.
Yeah, Bobby is his best character by
Zimmerowski.
miles. Yeah. Oh my God, Robert Zamaruski. What's up, bro? Anyway, yeah, I wish Goofy Movie was at this ceremony because I would totally do it on Oscar Sunday and give it awards. Unfortunately, it's not. It's just not.
We're bringing that shit to Filmgazm. You kidding me? That's coming.
It's just, yeah, it's so goddamn good. Yeah, I love that movie. It's almost like my favorite movie from the entire year. But yeah, Tommy Boy, Friday. Like, there's a lot of funny movies that just are like, I mean, that means so much to my DNA of watching film, and
yeah,
stuff I quote still over and over. So I really like this year. And of course, you have one of Linklater's best movies. Where the fuck is it here? Where the fuck is it? Like, what does Ethan Hawke have to do?
A sequel, apparently, because that got the nomination.
Yeah, you got to do a sequel and then a third one there to finish off the trilogy and just fucking shatter everybody's heart. That's what you have to do.
Oh, yeah. I feel like, that's a fucking relationship that I personally have to get over. It's weird how those three movies fucked with me.
Yeah. Of course, talking about Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight, Linklater, Ethan Hawke, and Julie Delpy's just excellent trilogy that stands with the very best for me. I don't know which one I like the best. I think I like Sunrise the best, the first one. I love that initial meeting and just kind of how Ethan Hawke is at times he's trying to be things he's not. Jesse,
yeah,
he's like quoting different, writers and stuff and philosophers, but really deep down, he's just a nice guy. He's just a cool guy. And she goes on this ride where she, doesn't feel like she can totally accept the love that he's giving. And oh man, it just gets really wild in that third one. Good God.
I've got, the first one, I saw him as kind of a pretentious douche trying to, put on a mask of intelligence and educated self. And I hate when writers quote other writers without having actually written anything substantial themselves. Is the most infuriating shit in the world. If you're going to be a writer, fucking write. That's the best thing you can do. Just do it. Doesn't matter if it's good. It's yours. So I got to go Sunset. I think the sequel, I love the idea of reuniting with, getting a second chance at a relationship that meant something to you. So I got to go Sunset. That's my favorite one.
Totally fair. God, the movie. Yeah, that one's fantastic. They're all like around 10s for me. I love those movies. And I really wish it would have showed up here at the 68th Academy Awards, but can't always get what you want. Leaving Las Vegas, though, is a heavy hitter from this ceremony and a movie that I'll stand by being at the ceremony and winning stuff. And of course, that includes Nicolas Cage. So let's talk more in depth about what we really like about this one. We're going to give out our awards: the Quentin Tarantino for Best Line or Quote, the Ennio Morricone Award for Best Music Moment, which there's a lot in this one. This one's really cool. Got a cool soundtrack and score. And then we'll have our Philip Seymour Hoffman Award, of course, for the best performance of the movie, and then the Roger Deakins Award for Best Scene. So I'll let you take it away whenever you're ready, man.
I have two for my Tarantino. One is very brief because it made me laugh, and it was pure Cage. It was a little bit of crazy Cage injected into Leaving Las Vegas, and it's when he's playing craps, and he just randomly yells, "Snake Eyes!" in his weird, Cage way. So that's my first one.
He does that shit a few times in this movie. He's so drunk. Snake Eye. Oh, I love at the beginning when he's talking to that girl and he's like, "You're so cute. Look at you. I love your eyes."
He starts singing that weird song to her, like so uncomfortable. And she's just like, "I got to get up early tomorrow."
Yeah, you're so creepy. maybe drink a little less is what she says. And he's like, "Oh, give me another." Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And my other one obviously comes from another scene at a bar. It's when he's having a drink away from Sarah, and that other girl who I think was Shawnee Smith from the first couple Saw movies.
Oh shit!
Yeah, there's a lot of like Danny Houston has a bit part in this. There's so many random faces of people who would later be famous. It's great. But she wants to like have a drink with him to piss off her boyfriend, and she like kicks the bar, and he goes, whoa, we mustn't kick the bar, we lean into the bar. That's him saying, booze is not the problem, it's the solution. And it's him just kind of saying like, this is my way, do you want to be a part of this? Like, I can teach you, grasshopper. Just a horrible way of living, but he's willing to, bring people into this thing. And then he gets, fucking sucker punched by the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to buy this young lady a drink. She has chosen to spend her time with me. Just pop.
So, it's a great scene. Great scene.
So those are my Tarantinos.
Hell yeah, man. I love that. I love that so much. I thought about that scene a lot today after watching the movie last night and just kind of thinking about it, thinking about doing this episode. And just kind of that control that Mike Figgis has of this vision of this character Ben, like you said, leaning into this lifestyle rather than being kind of angry at it. Like his awareness of knowing that what he's doing and that he's on a mission to like drink himself to death. He's not ever like, oh, woe is me. Like, I got to get this away from me. Like it's a total understanding of like, no, I'm abusing this and I know it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna lean way into it.
Yeah. Not once does he feel sorry for himself. Not once does he encourage anybody to pity him. Not he's like, this is the gun and it's in my mouth till I'm dead. It's a crazy level of like acceptance of your fate and just taking charge of your own life in the worst possible fucking way.
Yeah. It's funny you just mentioned acceptance while kind of talking about this character and the lifestyle he's chosen, because my quote basically correlates with that. And it's at one point when Ben and Sarah are talking, Nicolas Cage and Elizabeth Shue, and Ben says, "We both know that I'm a drunk, and I know you're a hooker. I hope you understand that I'm a person who is totally at ease with that, which is not to say that I'm indifferent or I don't care, because I do. It simply means that I trust and accept your judgment." Woo! Oh, talk about a piece of a screenplay. Like, that is some shit. That is some calling it like it is, on the nose, come at me type stuff. Like you can't take me down. I've taken myself down. All right. Like, so say and do whatever you want. And Jesus Christ, that's one of my favorite Nicolas Cage quotes, period, is that bit. He has a few. I'd love that Snake Eyes bit. God. But there's a few times where he breaks down what is happening here. I love when they make their agreement and he moves into her house and he says, "Just do not ever tell me to stop drinking, ever." And she's like, "Okay. You accept my flaws, I'll accept yours."
Yeah, they both have this like, who the fuck am I to tell you how to live your life when mine is so fucked up kind of mentality. And, this isn't Pretty Woman. He's not going to fix her. This isn't going to be some fairy tale Cinderella story. This is two just permanently screwed up fuck ups who have found just a little bit of comfort in each other for this brief amount of time. And the movie never deviates from that. It never fools you into thinking this is going to have some, perfect ending where everything works out.
Nope.
If anything, like, shit got worse. I mean,
it's exact opposite of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Good choice.
Like the worst thing that could happen happens to both of them. Yeah. And it's like poetic. It's pretty crazy how committed this movie is, and that Mike Figgis would never do John O'Brien that way. He's like, I'm not going to disrespect the pain and the sorrow that went into this book and went into this quote unquote suicide note, he has to stay true to it. He can't make it Hollywood. Simply can't.
No.
And I love that they choose to shoot this movie with typically films, especially of this era, like popular ones, are filmed 35 millimeter, and this one's 16. And you can see the difference. The aesthetic is very different than a lot of mainstream movies that were coming out at that time. I love that little choice, we're going to be a little bit different than Hollywood in every aspect that we possibly can. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And you've got, who better to lead a production like that than a guy who is all about taking risks, like Nicolas Cage. And also, Elizabeth Shue, who was trying to kind of rebrand herself after being kind of an 80s Brat Pack girl.
Yeah.
And it works. I don't think I'll ever look at her the same way again after this movie.
No, definitely not. All it takes is that one performance. It's like they say, Zach Mooneyham tells fucking Dewey Finn at the end of School of Rock, all it takes is one great show to change the world. And all it takes is that one stroke of genius to change your entire perspective on a person. And with the Elizabeth Shue, I totally agree.
Only you could connect leaving Las Vegas and School of Rock. Props.
Hell yeah. I think School of Rock is a fucking masterpiece. I love how much we're being able to talk about a Goofy movie and School of Rock, and Richard Linklater's trilogy. I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome having just, fucking dick to prove to anybody. It's awesome. I love it.
Hell yeah, man. Let's see. So that's Tarantino. Ennio Morricone. This is interesting because Mike Figgis takes on the music as well. He's the composer. But you also have a soundtrack that totally kicks ass, has some amazing artists within it. So go have at it, man.
This was tough. I liked the soundtrack, but it was hard finding something that really spoke to me until the end credits. And the song that plays at the end credits is My One and Only Love by Sting.
Oh, what a track.
Yeah, my God. I sat there frozen and watched the entire credits. I've never done that. I've never done that. Apart from a Marvel movie, but I know what's coming. With this, I'm just sitting there like, oh boy. Because, spoiler alert, he drinks himself to death. He does what he says he's going to do. And she's left there, changed by this experience, just thinking could I have done more? Should I have tried to save him? But then also thinking no, he never would have fucking gone with that. He didn't want to be saved, and I never would have, and I didn't stand a chance.
Man,
his real mistress was the bottle. And the song just kind of reflects this sad and lonely, accidental love that came from this. And Sting, of all people, just has that voice that just kind of is, singing the soundtrack to your breakup. And it's beautiful. So I had to go with, Sting. I'm a big Police fan, and hearing him in this context was something.
Hey, God, his voice, you can just tell right away. You're like, oh shit, that's fucking Sting. Yeah, that's an excellent choice. That song and Angel Eyes and Shape of My Heart are all in this movie, and they're all breathtaking songs. I used to not really understand the lore of Sting, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, this guy fucking rules, and I think has a huge movie fandom, and I like when he appears in movies. So yeah, great pick. For me, the score is great, but the soundtrack for me is it comes from Michael McDonald, Lonely Teardrops, when Nicolas Cage is burning everything in his house and throwing it all in trash bags and putting it out on the curb, and he's just drinking and dancing, and you're like, this is Nick Cage, dude. Look at him just getting after it. And that song plays again as he leaves the house after him and Sarah have that famous rice dinner. The song plays again as he goes to the casino to fuck around. And those two scenes of him leaving in both scenes he's departing, but they're much different scenarios. And I love when a movie does that, kind of like uses that sound for someone doing something. And in this case, it's him leaving his house in Los Angeles and then leaving her house in Las Vegas. I really like that a lot. But hats off to Mike Figgis for taking that on. When a guy can literally do everything, I immediately think of John Carpenter and the balls and the talent it takes to just do that and go through with it. Not a lot of people are capable, just not. Composing a score is like just as hard as directing the goddamn thing. So to do all of that, treating it like your baby, Mike Figgis, is really cool, really special. Not going to forget his name simply just because of this, because of this particular gem of the 90s.
Yeah, it's wearing many hats on a production is crazy, but you don't often see the writer and director also tackling the score. Carpenter immediately came to mind for me too as well, but also so did Charlie Chaplin.
That's the original GOAT. Yeah.
It's, I don't know. With Chaplin, it feels like a control freak thing, but with Figgis, it felt more like I want to make sure this is done correctly on every level.
Yeah, this particular movie is mine. Like, I have to make sure this gets done because John O'Brien is not here. Yeah. I have to get this right. Yeah, for sure. Chaplin's like, I'm the fucking man. All of you are minions. Listen to me.
Kiss the fucking ring or you'll never work in this town again. It's that kind of, yeah.
I love it though. I love it. I love all kinds of filmmakers. So I love that. Philip Seymour Hoffman Award. It's got to be one of the two. Who do you got?
First, I just want to say I was really surprised that Julian Sands got third billing on this, despite being in like one scene.
I love that. I love the opening scene so much. So good.
I don't care for Julian Sands. Everything I've seen him in, he's been like just a total piece of shit.
Yeah, that's like his haircut is only for that. Yeah, it's like only for. I love the name Yuri is like just okay. Yeah, we're just gonna use the most basic. Yeah, okay.
He might as well have been Russian pimp number 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is an interesting matchup here, and Cage is quite a performer. He is a lights out, drunk to perfection performance. But I am giving this to Elizabeth Shue.
Hell yeah!
Holy shit! All right, so Elizabeth Shue has been a significant part of my movie fandom my entire life. She plays Jennifer Parker in Back to the Future 2 and 3, taking the role from Claudia Wells in the first film after her grandma died and she could not join the production of 2. Sucks. But Elizabeth Shue is not a significant part of those 2 movies, but the bit she does play are memorable and interesting. She runs into her future self in 2015 and passes out, and it's hilarious. Yeah, it's weird. Like the whole time Doc is saying like, don't meet your future self or the universe will explode. And she does. And they just both faint and literally nothing happens. Anyway. So I've always pictured her as, Jennifer from Back to the Future. And then I watched Adventures in Babysitting and I didn't care for that movie that much, but she's a, 80s, big hair, hairspray kind of 80s girl. And I never saw her beyond that. So to see her take a role like this has completely changed my opinion of her as an actress, and like for the better. She is so sad in this movie, just such a life of just being used by everybody. And even to an extent, Ben is using her for some sort of sick comfort and she's using him for the same reason. But just, the bit with the fucking frat guys and just everything she goes through, the pain she endures just for the sake of Ben having his moment is so just hard to swallow at times. And the way the frankness in which she discusses her life, like she puts so little value in who she is as a person. And that's so sad. But in my opinion, I think she outshines him. And I did not expect that. So yeah, Elizabeth Shue.
Fantastic. I love that. yeah, no arguments here. When she is violently gang raped at the Excalibur Hotel, there's a level of I don't even know what word to use. There's some kind of sympathy, obviously, and just you just get really angry watching that scene. Movies going to that length, I think I'm going to be careful here. It's important to show those things, I think, in movies, because it is so real. It is so real, and far too often, male characters and dominant, egomaniac and testosterone filled characters are like praised over and over, when in reality, in the real world, like, women fear men. If they're walking alone in a parking lot at night, they have to be on guard, because our society is so fucked up, and men are so fucking, brainwashed. They think this is okay. These three guys, they think this is like, oh yeah, this is what you do when you're in Vegas.
Yeah, this is a fucking birthday present.
Yeah, it is like so disgusting and so honest and so raw and so true. I went the same way as you. I think I put that scene in the back of my head after I watched it the first time, was like, forget about it. Drop it. Cage is the man in this movie. No, like, he's great. He's wonderful. But Shu deserves the PSH. Shu is the one who has literal transformations right in front of us and then goes backwards. She's like legitimately has this hope and this faith in Ben, and literally makes him a fucking rice dinner, this delicious looking rice dinner. And he just, fucking slaps it out of the way. He's just like, whatever, who gives a shit? She's the one who goes through this slight, like, oh my God, I actually think I have something to live for here. I think I actually have something going here. And when she slips backwards after seeing him with another prostitute, seeing Ben with that other girl that we seen earlier in the movie, when she slips back and she's walking outside the Excalibur Hotel, which is just in the heart of Las Vegas, the heart of the strip. I've stayed at that hotel. A lot of people do, because it's a little bit easier to afford than a lot of the hotels that are on the strip. The Excalibur is kind of famous for that. So of course you have these douchebag college guys who are like, oh, like this is what we do in Vegas. And that part of the movie, and her reaction and her vulnerability as an actress to follow that up with the shower scene, follow that up with going and seeking out Ben again and having sex with him again right before he dies on his deathbed, is like some of the best acting I've ever seen in my life. And for that reason, I was like, the consistency is there for both of them. And then at the end, she just takes over. She just like fucking takes over the movie. And I also have to give it to her, which is so hard, because Cage is literally, I've talked about how he plays probably the best drunk ever. Well, she might play the best hooker ever. I don't know. Shocking and brutal stuff. But movies that do that don't get all Hollywood on us and are like, yeah, it's all good, and like, let's turn the other way, or not show that in the movie, just imply it. I have so much respect for movies that they go there and force you, if you watch this, you have to confront it. And that's one of the most important things you can do as a person, is realize the things that are wrong with the world. And that part of society is wrong. The way men, and not all men, of course, but there's a lot of just fucking pigs out there. Yeah. And women have to constantly be on guard. And what a dark thing to imagine, as a person. And I'm talking about a whole gender that has to be on guard. And that when a movie kind of shines a light on that, I just have so much respect for it. And so watching it this time, I was just sobbing. I was just sobbing the last like 10 minutes of the movie. And I'll just take that into my my deacons is that those final moments of the film, when she's on top of Ben and he's like, I'm just gonna say it. He's like, you see how hard you make me? He's just fucking gone. Like, he's gone in so many senses of the word. And then he passes away, and then we get a little voiceover of her in therapy. And you're just like, holy shit, she's still trying. Like, fuck, man. The character of Sarah is on her own. Just, you have to see this movie, even if you're not about Cage. Watch it for her. She is putting in work in this movie.
Well, for me, it's like you don't see a lot of films where the protagonist changes halfway through. Like, to me, it's his film at the beginning, and then it turns into her film. And that's so interesting. And she's up to the challenge of taking over this film. And it becomes a confession of a different kind. And it is hard to watch. It's hard to understand, and it's hard to, just deal with. But like you said, the film forces you to confront this horrific life that she's forced into. And you feel for her. You think, like, you could get out. You had, she saw Ben as maybe a way to do something else with her life, to have something else. But, he couldn't be bothered. It's a damn shame.
Oh, truly. Yeah. Well, I knew it was going to go here. I knew my mind was going to race and it was going to go here because this movie just forces you to do that. With that being said, we have one more award to give out, and that's your Deacons.
Yes. Mine is a pretty brief scene. It's nothing too groundbreaking, but it's a moment that kind of exploded out of nowhere and really just showed Ben at what I think might be his lowest point. And it's when they're playing blackjack and he goes ape shit and flips the table and starts screaming about his son. And like 5 guards have to come over and just like hold him down as he's screaming and struggling. And you just see this, like, the ultimate broken man here. And Sarah is just standing off to the side, like, unable. I think he pushes her over, or he pushes the waitress over, somebody, but they're just standing there unable to do anything about this guy. And later on, he doesn't even remember what happened. It's weird. Like, was this too much booze or not enough booze? And you don't even know. You don't know what triggered this. You don't know what it was about. It just is never spoken of again, but it has been just absolutely showing how damaged he really is and what he's willing to just, say fuck it to anything and lose it for a bit. Let that rage out like he does in the car at the beginning. It's going to pop out randomly because it's in there just bubbling over, and he needs a release or he's going to fucking have an aneurysm. It's bonkers, but I just, in that moment, I was like, fuck. And that had to be my Deacons.
That's a amazing scene because you don't have that, you don't have the knowledge of like what his relationship was like with his son. And
you don't see anything before just him deciding to drink himself to death. Yeah. You don't know what led him to this.
He's already on that spiral. Yeah, at the beginning of the movie. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Once he gets fired and he gets the severance pay, he's like, okay, now I know what to do with my life. Like, whoa, boy.
He even brings it up. Like, I don't know if my wife left me because of my drinking or if, I started drinking because my wife left me. Like, he doesn't know. He doesn't remember.
Because he's been on the bottle for so long. Yeah. God, what a film. What a film, definitely gets a 9 from me. I just think it's a must-see from the 90s, a must-see for Cage, for Elizabeth Shue. And I'm glad we got to talk about it today because it's definitely not an easy one to talk about, but that's kind of why we matched it up with the top 5 Cage, where we could kind of talk about different stuff to give us a little more positivity, because it's tough. It's tough to confront, but it's important to confront those things.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. This is an 8 for me. Kind of my base score for a really good movie.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said. This is a very strong depiction of addiction and desperation. And hard to get through simply because of how real and unforgiving and unflinching it is. Yeah, definitely a once and one and done for me. I think it's just, I don't like to revisit films that are so fucking sad,
dark. Yeah. Just uber dark. Well, yeah, and you're not going to be like, hey, come on over and let's watch Leaving Las Vegas. Like, it's not that kind of a film. I own it. I've owned it for some time now, and it's not something I just pop in on every Tuesday night, but it is something I care a whole lot about. I love having that Nicolas Cage winner in my collection. It's just cool. It's just fucking cool.
Before we get into what we're doing next week, I want to end with a brief story that I told on the Pig sneak preview for anybody who might not have seen that one. And it's one of my favorite little Nick Cage anecdotes. Prior to COVID, once a year, the Alamo Drafthouse in Austin would hold a Cage-a-thon. And Nicolas Cage himself would host this event. He would personally pick 5 films from his film catalog, do a little Q&A, and host this event. And it sounded like the most epic fucking night ever. And when I found out about it, it was like, the next one was in 2020 and then fucking COVID. So that was a bummer. But I saw a video of the Q&A, and this guy asked Nicolas Cage, do you have anything you want to say to the haters out there, the people who don't appreciate your work and say that you're past your prime? And Cage did a little smirk, took a sip of his drink, looked right at the guy and said, you just don't know what you're missing. And everyone erupted into applause. It was perfect.
Fucking beautiful.
Yeah. God bless you, man. Thank you for the work.
Yeah. We're going to steal the Declaration of Independence. Yeah. God bless him. Honestly, couldn't have said it better, man. He's a legend in his own. And I love that we got to do a top 5 Cage and just spotlight him as an actor. Really funny that neither of us chose him for the PSH.
I know. I didn't expect Elizabeth Shue to fucking wow me like that.
I think it might go differently when we do adaptation.
Yeah. I think that's
awesome stuff. Next week, real special episode again. We're just kind of staying on this run of doing stuff that's really dear to my heart. Having a lot of fun with it leading up to this next Best Picture Showdown. But next week, one more before the showdown. We got one more, and I wanted to do an animated film, so I decided to choose Rango from 2011 because it hits its 10-year anniversary this year, of course, and is just spectacular. Is like no other animated feature I've ever seen. It's Gore Verbinski, director of Pirates of the Caribbean. It's kind of what he always wanted to do. It's a story he always wanted to tell. Just couldn't quite do it until he had all that money. And finally he got to kind of have the free reins and do what he wanted with an animated film. So gonna have a lot of fun with that. It won Best Animated Feature at the 84th Academy Awards. So we're gonna look at that ceremony. We're gonna do a special top 5 again, because why not? And we're gonna give awards out to Rango. So please come on back for next week's Oscar Sunday on 2011's Rango. What do we have on? Of course, we have Nicky Cage tomorrow on Sneak Preview, but what else do we have?
Well, first off, I do want to say I've never seen Rango, so this is a first timer for me.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited. Tomorrow on Sneak Preview, we are going to be talking about Prisoners of the Ghostland, Cage's new movie, as well as Joe Carnahan's new film, Cop Shop, Jessica Chastain and Andrew Garfield's biopic, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, and Clint Eastwood's Cry Macho. So it's going to be an interesting combo of new releases tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
And then on Wednesday, I'm particularly excited with our film picking cycle. This is your pick for Josh and I. Uncut Gems, the Safdie brothers' crazy crime thriller from 2019. We once did as a bonus, and it's getting its full episode treatment. I could not be more excited.
Oh man, I forgot about that. Uncut Gems, what a treat. it's going to be cool because I know you've only seen it the one time.
Yeah.
And I know Josh has never seen it. So it's going to be real cool to hear those thoughts. Safdie brothers are wicked important to my my fandom of modern cinema, and their care for the craft itself and their care for the history and what's come before them is astonishing. And Uncut Gems is clearly a passion project for them, and where they got to work with their hero Adam Sandler, they got to work with one of their favorite basketball players, Kevin Garnett, and they got to talk about gambling, which is something they love. I've listened to a lot of them. They have a really cool adventures in movie going section on Criterion, and both of them do one together where it's both the Safdies, and they're just freaks. They know so much about filmmaking, and they know so much about the history, and they have so many like random favorites, and you can tell Uncut Gems is kind of a combination of all of those happening at once. That's going to be really cool to hear you guys talk about that one. I can't wait.
Yeah, films like this, this is how they win.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to. Yeah, this is going to be a fun revisit.
Sandler, the Sandman. Let's go.
Fuck yeah, guys. Thanks for listening. This has been a blast. It's nice to inject some levity into these dark ass movies sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't be sure to check out Rango next week, and we'll see you then.